feel like the way that this episode is going already is like perfect because it literally summarizes everything we're going to talk about today. Like you just messaged me. Tell everyone what you just messaged me whilst I was waiting in the studio for us to start recording.
Well, I was standing here trying to get the episode, like get the video ready, and I literally just feel this like drip down my inner thigh, and I put my hand in between my legs, and then I pick my hand out, and there's just blood all over my hands. So I say to my boyfriend, like, can you just text Louise that my period's literally dripping out of me? And he literally looks at my hand, he's like, ew, and then I like run to the toilet and just empty my period cup. You know, that's basically the start of the episode for today.
Oh my God. And while she was doing that, I was like, oh, I'm just going to fill in my eyebrows because she's like got a few minutes late. I just drop my pencil down the toilet and I'm just like hands straight in. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like not a vibe. Then I come back, my dog is like humping her bed because she's like frustrated. And then my AirPods ran out of battery. So I was like, yeah, this is a good start to the episode because we're sharing the reality that like you guys see us living our best lives. Like, Monica, where even in the world are you right now? I actually don't even know.
I'm in I'm in Rome. We just had the best breakfast. We stayed. Okay, I have to tell you, Louise, if you ever come to Rome, you need to stay at the St. Regis. It is so fucking good. The rooms are beautiful. The food is insane. The lobby is literally what dreams are made of. Like, if you like amazing architecture and like you want to look at a ceiling and it be like that full like I don't even know what it's called, but you know the kind of buildings I'm talking about, like that you see in Europe? Like, oh my God, this hotel is just the most divine thing.
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy for you. I
Yeah.
feel like you guys are on another love retreat. I, however, will not be going to Rome anytime soon because I've got back to London and I'm like, everyone's like, oh my God, come to Barcelona for the weekend, or like come to here for the weekend, or come to the Hamptons for a week. And I'm like, I literally am like having a mental breakdown and I need to just stay in one place for a small period of time. And that is what we're going to talk about today, is like what to do when things just get a bit much. And I messaged Monica this morning and I was like, this episode is going to be perfect because, you know, this is not something that I need to see a therapist for. I mean, like, yeah, okay, I probably could,
Yeah.
but like, it's just like sometimes you just need to talk to your like best friend and be like, everything's just like a bit shit, or I'm just totally overwhelmed, or like I just had to put my hand down the fucking toilet to get my thing out and my hand in urine because I'm not even sure I actually flushed the loo. Like I don't know. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is like Monica is living the dream out in Rome and I am.
I also want to say, Louise, and like for everybody, I know it looks like I'm living the dream, but there is also so much going on behind the scenes. Like like we've just bought a house, so we're going through all the house shit, and it's a confusing situation because I'm not a citizen or a permanent resident of the US. And like, you know, you've got these visa things, and then you've got you running your own business. And then like between, like, okay, that's the house thing. And then we're like, I'm trying to run a fucking business and I'm trying to grow my team and I have all these things happening and I've got all these clients and la and I want to go traveling and I want to do this and I want to see friends. Like, I was thinking about this as I was changing my period cup of like when I was thinking about the episode. By the way, you look beautiful. Of there is just so much that I feel like goes unsaid in regards to the behind the scenes of running a business and just being a woman that wants to like have it all and do it all, oh my God, where you want to like have the amazing relationship and you want to be able to have a good social life and you want to be making heaps of money and you want to be running your own business. Like you can do it all, but it's also just a lot. And which kind of links into the whole overwhelm thing. Like, I literally had a fucking meltdown on the airplane. Okay, not a full on meltdown, but I cried myself to sleep. Not joking. I'm like in first class lying there and I was just crying, and like no particular reason. It was just like, there's a lot of things on my plate and I was getting overwhelmed because things weren't perfectly done the way that I wanted them to. And I'm off day one of my period. And, you know, we had to move out of our Airbnb and pack everything up in a day, get it to the storage unit. I'm tired and exhausted. And day one on my period, and like my brain was not working. It was one of those day ones where like I could not literally string a sentence together. Like full on, like brain has been depleted of progesterone. Very obvious. So I'm on the plane and like just things weren't done perfectly. Like I'm getting my new website done and like shit hasn't been done on time. And then they want me to do things and I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, you didn't stick to the deadline. So don't expect me to have time to do things when I haven't blocked time out of my calendar. So then I just start crying and I just cry myself to sleep. And that was my reality yesterday. And it doesn't mean that I don't like my life or anything. It's just like, that is sometimes the reality, right? Of just doing a million things. So even though, yeah, I'm like living the dream, it doesn't mean I don't cry like at least 4 times a week, at least.
Oh my God,
Like, I'm not joking, at least.
I love the reality of that. That's so funny. Yeah, I just feel like for me as well, I don't know if you're the same. I'm just very sensitive. Like I'm very sensitive to emotions and
I'm
very
so
sensitive
sensitive.
to what goes on in my body. Like, you and I have done so much work that we don't suppress an emotion. So if we want to cry, we cry, and we're lucky that we,
Yep.
we
Yep.
have partners that can support that. A lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't cry. Why am I crying all the time? Whereas like you and me literally cry the whole time. And it's interesting you say that about the period as well, because I think that was what actually started. Like I got my period, I don't even remember when, a couple of days ago, and it was just the emotions were just so, so intense. And I don't normally have periods that do anything for me. They're so light, they're so easy. I have no pain, I have no symptoms. So I am not used to having that intensity of emotion. And it just was like, oh my God, everything is too much. So like the first point was like the emotions, and then exactly what you were saying about having a million and one things. It's like in Mexico, if I was having a bad day, I would just literally just clear my calendar and like go and lie on the beach and read a book. But coming back to a city, you can't do that. It's like my calendar, everything's color coded. And, you and me nearly didn't jump on this recording today because time zones are such a nightmare. And we like so bad at like navigating them. We both need virtual assistants just for the time zone. And like I sent you a picture and it's like my calendar is like every half an hour is blocked out. Yours is the same. I know that.
Yep.
Traveling.
Yep. It is.
And the thing is that I feel like often the thing that I struggle the most is when I feel like this, I want to retreat. I want to go into my on my own. I want to cancel everything, particularly as, I am so extroverted, as I know you are too, but I actually have a lot of introvert energy. I need to be on my own when things get too overwhelming. But when you have a calendar that is packed by the half an hour, you can't do that. So I want to know, like, what do you do? And I guess people listening to this, like if they have kids, they have people they're caring for, whatever it is, there are sometimes things that you cannot cancel. So what is your first approach? Like, do you cancel or do you try and push through? Like, I guess you can't cancel.
I know, it's such a good question. And I first want to say about the period thing, like, Louise, it makes sense that you've had a really intensely emotional period because it's like you're like releasing all of this emotion of like everything that happened in Tulum with you. You're releasing like a past version of yourself, that version of you that went to Tulum. You're a completely different woman leaving Tulum. You're grieving like that old version of yourself in your old life. You're grieving your beautiful man. Like there's so much to grieve. So it's like no wonder that you have a heavy period. I've always thought that I'll get my period on my wedding day, which is like everyone's worst nightmare, right? Wearing a red dress. And I just have this feeling that I will, because it's like my body will be shedding this like old version of yourself, and when you're really tapped in and like when you are very in your body and you've done a lot of work, it's like your body is always giving you physical symptoms and is always giving you like a physical release when there's an emotional thing happening. Like you'll get sick when you're going through a lot or processing or when you're having a big up level, because your body is literally like the result of what's happening energetically to you. So firstly, that makes sense. Okay, so what do I do? Yeah, firstly, just to keep it real, I get fucking overwhelmed, and my my like trauma response and defense mechanism is to also retreat, is to just be like, fuck it, I don't care, I'm going to bed. And like my boyfriend's picked up on it, even with everything going on, of like he'll ask me a question or like he'll bring something up about like some work thing or just some life thing, and I'll be like, oh, blah blah blah, like yeah, whatever, I don't care. And he actually, like maybe a couple weeks ago, was like, you've lately been saying whatever and blowing off the question or blowing off the problem and not even realizing that you're doing it. And I was like, whoa, that to me was like a big like shit. And like I wasn't even aware that just with little things, like, oh, whatever, like I wouldn't even, like, I was so overwhelmed by just everything going on. I wouldn't even let myself think about what I wanted for dinner. I was like, oh, whatever, I don't even care. So firstly, I do the exact same thing. I mean, number one, women suck at asking for help. We suck at receiving help and we suck at asking for help. It's like, there's this thing called an inconvenience wound, and we don't want to be an inconvenience to anybody. So we people please. It's like we want everyone to accept us. We don't want to be an inconvenience to anybody, because if we're an inconvenience, then we'll be rejected. And in order for a woman's body to feel like she's safe, our biology is like, we need to be loved and accepted by our community. And if we're not loved and accepted by our community, we'll be rejected, then we're going to die alone, because that's literally what would happen in the caveman days. So we have this inconvenience wound where we do not want to be shunned by men or by people in the community. And so then we don't want to cancel plans. We don't want to move things around. Like we don't want to be an inconvenience to anybody. We don't want to ask for too much help. We don't want to hire people and like put too much on their plate. We don't value ourselves enough. So we don't want to pay for people to then help us. So the first fucking thing is like hire people. And when your brain goes, oh, I don't have any money to do that, the amount of people that will say they don't have any money to do that is astonishing, when it's actually not that they don't have any money, they just don't value themselves enough to actually allocate that money and see the value that they get in return for doing that. Because even if you hired a housekeeper or a cleaner for 1 hour once a week and it was like $25, you could do that. Like if you are drinking coffee and if you have an iPhone in your hand, you can spend $25 once a month on doing that for yourself. So it's really about resourcefulness. So I'm always like, hire people in the areas that you need help with. So I actually make lists of little things that overwhelm me. So I know the next person to hire, and that person needs to take this shit off my plate. So like over time, I create these iNotes, and like iNotes like titled jobs, and I group together these things that pop up of like, oh, I don't want to have to fucking do this anymore, or like this shit annoys me, or this shit overwhelms me. And then that literally goes in the next job description so that person can take it off. That's the first thing. Second thing is I am a huge fan of like writing things down and mapping things out based on importance level. So I've become really good at prioritizing things where based on like the importance of it, what the return on investment is, and like the due date, quote unquote, I will then literally make a list of everything and number things 1 to 10, for example, and just sit down, knock all those things out so I don't feel as overwhelmed. I also know for myself, if I have a lot on my plate and a long list of things to do, I find it easier to stay up till 2 a.m. getting all of it done than going to bed, my brain be racing because I have all these things still left to do and then I can't sleep anyway. I would rather go to bed at 2 a.m., having knocked everything off, be like feeling so relieved going to bed and sleep in a little bit the next morning. That to me works a lot better than like dragging it on over a whole week, for example. But I think the number one thing is that people don't know how to prioritize these days. We live in a very avoidant society where we just avoid. We procrastinate a lot. People have a lot of perfectionism, and the perfectionism comes with like the not feeling enough, right? So we want to make sure everything's perfect so we can be accepted. And the perfectionism then causes the procrastination. And then you procrastinate, and then you get angry at yourself for procrastinating, and you go into this very self-destructive avoidant cycle, and then nothing ends up getting done, and you stay more overwhelmed. Like most people these days, if you have a job and you want to achieve a lot in your life, like we are overwhelmed. And if you don't have if you haven't figured out your way of prioritizing things, putting things into a calendar so you don't forget, to-do list X, Y, and Z, you absolutely need to. Something that I love doing, I don't have it here, but I have this, you can just use like any kind of diary, as in like a old school like diary that you would write in that has like the dates. And I use one of them, and I use it as a to-do list. So what I love about it is if there is something that I've thought of in my head, but it doesn't need to get done till next Thursday, I will put it in next Thursday's day. That way it's written down and out of my head, but it's like, I don't need to do it today. I'm not adding to today's to-do list because that's not actually a priority for today. I'm not going to get it done today, but I can put it in for next week so I see it next week. So that, to me, I started doing that a few years ago, and I found that really, really helpful because I can literally put things down in advance on a to-do list, and I know I won't forget it because when it comes to that week, I'm going to open it and I'm going to see it there. So I feel like that's a good thing everyone should do. And then if you're a business owner, like get ClickUp or Asana. I use it for myself. We use it for our personal life. There's dates in there, like even just decorating this new house. It's like my mom, who's my interior designer, like she's in there, boyfriend's in there, and like everything is clear. Like there's a chat box for each, bedroom, for example, so nothing's getting lost. And it just really saves a lot of time. Like, I don't know about you, Louise, but I hate having to communicate with people. Like, I love talking, but I do not want this long fucking text thread with like my assistant and my designer and my this person and my that person. Like that I figured out last year, or the beginning of this year, and also last year, it creates so much overwhelm and it creates avoidance. I get all these text messages and I'm just like, I fucking can't. It's not organized. Yeah, you get it. It's not organized. It's not under a task list. Things get forgotten. A week later, I'm like, wait, did it get done? And I can't find it anywhere. It goes to this giant fucking text thread. So I kind of now with my assistant, even, you know, when I'm traveling, it's a little bit different, but everything goes in Asana. Any fucking task, anything that I've asked her to do, it goes in Asana, and we talk about things in Asana under the task. It is so much clearer. It is so much more concise. And I've also realized for me that the back and forth texting all the time, I fucking hated it. But I'm okay with jumping on a meeting literally every day for 20 minutes and going over things in that meeting versus the texting back and forth, because it's like 20 minutes, I'm on, it's quick, it's effective, it's way more efficient, and my brain can focus on that one thing versus all day being like distracted by fucking pings on my phone. So I think a lot of people just don't give themselves permission to be like, what is actually working and what am I really struggling dealing with? What is actually making me overwhelmed? And really taking the time to think about it, because I let myself really, really think about what was making me very stressed and overwhelmed with my previous assistant. And it was the time difference. So I was like, right, we're never doing that again. Learned that one. And then it was also the constant texting, like back and forth, where it just wasn't productive and effective. So it was like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. We're having meetings more regularly, and we're putting everything in Asana.
Okay, tons of things to say here. So first of all, I love what you're saying about outsourcing, because you made me realize, like, in this moment, one of the things that I'm finding so stressful is being back with my dog. And I love my dog so much. She's just been in the countryside with my parents for 4.5 months. So she's now back in London in an apartment. Yeah, a big apartment with a balcony, but still an apartment. Okay. So not only am I super busy, and I'm also recording podcasts, so I need her to be tired. Like right now, she's like,
Yeah.
to be like, let's play. And I'm like, no, we can't do that right now. So it's like, okay, in the morning, I want to walk her for like 30, 45 minutes. And then at lunch, I want to do a big walk every single day. That's like a lot of pressure, right? So that's already these 2 things in my diary, morning and lunch, that I feel like I have to do. Otherwise, the rest of my day, I can't record. I can't do stuff that needs audio because she's going to be barking or growling or trying to play. And you saying outsource has made me realize I bumped into my dog walker yesterday, universe, you know, literally like not even where I live, like down the road somewhere else. And I just need to get my dog walker back. You know, I can then be like, I don't have to worry about this. It's off my plate. It's a minimal cost. You're so right. Same thing with the cleaner. Like, I'm having viewings on my flat because I've cancelled the tenancy. And I just was like, I'm just going to clean it all. No, I fucking hate cleaning. I
fucking hate cleaning.
I never want to do cleaning. So why I haven't outsourced that, why I haven't got my cleaner in, why I haven't got my cleaner back on a weekly same time thing, I don't know. And I'm going to action it straight after this call. And that brings me to my second point is,
good.
Same time every week is something that I feel like I need to shift towards too. So take this podcast, for example. You and me are always like saying, okay, what time can you do? What time can I do? What we need to do. This is for me across the board, is it needs to be like, okay, where possible, we just have a fixed time. Because otherwise it's like, oh no, it's like you're traveling and I'm doing this and we got the time zones wrong. And when I was in Tulum, I would get the time zones wrong all the time because my Google Calendar was like on Tulum time, but it was like the time was wrong. So people would put stuff in, and that's why I was like useless when we were away at all. Even if I put in a time, it was like the time was actually wrong. It was like super confusing. So that's my second thing, is I need to add a bit more structure, but to be able to add structure, I need to know what to prioritize. So I'm going to do that when I get off. Well, not when I get off this call because I've got 6 other calls, but later today, I'm going to go through and do like a proper priority list. What can be outsourced? What needs to take priority in the diary? What can be pushed to next week?
Yeah.
Another thing that
oh, sorry, go Louise. No, I want to hear this go. Sorry.
Say another thing that I'm trying to do is plan my week out for the week ahead. And then come Friday, my week, I want it to be fixed for next week. Because if I leave spaces that just like, oh yeah, I'll put that in there, that does not work. I end up working 14-hour days, doing 16 calls, seeing 2 people a day, walking the dog twice a day, having an actual mental breakdown, trying to maintain a long distance relationship, FaceTimes, time zones. So that's for the other thing I'm going to do, is like have this hard and fast rule that by Friday, unless it's an emergency or something, like, no, my diary is fixed. We are done.
Yep. Amen. And like I always say, the busier your life is, the more masculine structure you need. Because if you don't have that masculine structure, your feminine will feel so like stressed and anxious and depleted. And that's where you have all these mental breakdowns because you're not getting what your feminine needs. So it's like when life is busier, you actually need to have more structure in order for you to stay sane. And like even with your relationship, Louise, like if I were you, I'd be having locked in times every day that you guys FaceTime, because then there's no question of like, will he FaceTime me? Are we going to talk? Because that creates more unknown and more stress on your nervous system. It's like he knows every day he FaceTimes you at this time, and you know that you get to expect that call from him at this time. And it's just easy for both of you then. It's not stressful. It's not another thing on your plate. It feels like it's like the one secure thing and the one locked in, grounded thing in your life right now. But I second the whole like lock in your calendar in X, Y, and Z. I also, when it comes to the outsourcing, it's really, you have to think of paying people like you're valuing yourself, like you're paying for the value of yourself, right? Like when you pay for your cleaner, let's say, for example, like, yes, you're paying your cleaner, but if you think about it in more of in a different way, it's actually you paying for how much you value those 2 hours of your time where you get to do something that you're really good at and you get to have your space clean. So for the rest of the week, or for me, the rest of the fucking day, because then I trash it, the rest of the day, you're in a clean, beautiful space. And in those 2 hours, you got to do what you're really, really good at. People don't value themselves, and therefore they don't value others. They don't want to pay for the cleaner. They don't want to pay. That's why they're like, people go, I don't know why I haven't hired a cleaner. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, the reason why you haven't hired a cleaner is because your brain thinks super subconsciously, I can do it myself. It's a waste of money, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yes, you can do it yourself. But then you have these 18-hour days. And it's like, is that what you value? I'm not saying this to you, Louise, but just generally, like, is that what you value yourself as? Like, you value yourself having to kill yourself 18 hours a day because you don't want to pay $200 for somebody else to clean your apartment. And then when it comes to the priority thing for anybody, whether you're a business owner or not, always think, what is the return on investment in this thing? So even Louise, like us doing this podcast, the reason why I like make the time when we're in Rome is because I know that these podcasts are doing really well. People love the episodes. One, we also get to catch up at the same time. And so the return on investment is high, right? Because it's like another podcast that's done on my end. So I don't have to then sit down and record another one. It's great value. It's fun. It's like a different segment. It's authentic. It's easy to listen to, all that jazz. So the return on investment is high. Something that wouldn't be a high return on investment for me would be like spending 3 hours doing TikTok videos. That'd be a high return on investment for you, right? But it's not a high return on investment for me. My high return on investment is my podcast. So I spend more time on my podcast than I would making the time to go on TikTok, because I know even if I became fucking TikTok famous, I actually wouldn't want to have to maintain that and keep that up. That's just not for me, right? So then don't invest a bunch of my time in it. And like, yeah, I have a TikTok, but like my assistant does it where she posts the clips of the podcast up on there. So it's like, it's still getting done because it's an important thing to get done for like the reach and people to find you and all the obvious things, but I don't have to do it. So it's like, I've outsourced that because I know it's important to do, but the return on investment isn't high enough for me to be doing it.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And like, whilst we're talking about this, my dog is literally pawing me and growling me because she wants to play. And I'm like, this is exactly... like, I've already taken you for a walk this morning, so like this is really stressing me out and literally proving the point of everything we're talking about. I want to pick up on something you said. So we love doing this because, well, firstly, we bring so much value and we have so much fun together, but also it's literally the only time that we get to catch up. This is like our weekly, like best friend FaceTime. Okay. So that for everyone listening is like, this is really the only time that Monica and I even talk outside of like text messages.
Literally.
Because we are genuinely so busy that we don't have just like a spare afternoon when one of us just like lazy calls the other. Like it doesn't.
Oh my God, Louise, the amount of my friends that are like, do you want to like FaceTime? Let's catch up this weekend. I'm like, I fucking wish. Like it is like, I am just in a busy season of my life. I definitely don't love that my life is this busy. Like I pride myself on having space in my calendar and like being able to have like that feminine kind of balance and X, Y, and Z. But like, it's just hard when you're running a business and you have all these other millions of things going on. Like, you're running a business and you have to be doing a podcast that doesn't like directly make money for your business as well. Let's just highlight that for Louise, right? That's an extra big thing on your plate that you have to do. And then you're also trying to maintain a long-term relationship. And then you're also trying to walk a fucking dog every day and you live in a major city. That's a lot on anybody's plate. So when my friends like, let's FaceTime, I'm like, you know what? You can text me if I'm free in that moment. Fucking great. But like, I am not just lounging around on a Saturday. Like, I am doing things and like running my business in X, Y, and Z. So yeah, this is literally our FaceTime.
Yeah. And I think that's my other question for you. And we're going to have to go in a minute because I'm going to have to take my dog outside. I'm like, do you need to poo? Like, is that the problem? Because like, you never normally do this.
She better. Like, I hate that when my dogs like need to go outside and then they don't fucking poo. I'm like, you literally disturbed me and you just want to stand outside and look at the sun.
She did it. She did it last week on a call. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like a paying client. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I genuinely think I have to take my dog outside. And she had literally the worst diarrhea. So I was like, oh, baby, thank you for telling me. But now I'm like, now she's me. I'm like, I don't know if you like just want to play, if you want to go outside. So let's 60-second wrap up before my dog shits on the floor. Perfect. Like how you can see how stressed I am. Wait 60 seconds, baby. Okay.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on cancelling stuff versus like pushing through? Like, do people that love you?
Oh yeah, that's right.
And like last 60 seconds on that.
Okay. So if I am really exhausted, really busy, calendar's full, and again, it's not a high enough return on investment. That is how I decide. Then I will cancel something. If someone has been like, hey, can you come on my podcast? And the podcast doesn't have like 1 million downloads, for example. And so the return on investment is not high enough and I'm managing 20 million things exhausted, then I will just ask for it to be moved. If I have asked somebody else to come on my podcast, for example, which I don't really do for FYI for anybody, or if I have asked someone to do something for me, then I will not cancel because it's an integrity thing with like, no, like they're doing a favor for me, X, Y, and Z. So I never also cancel. I will only postpone, but I always think about in business stuff, what is the return on investment? And then the last thing I want to say to everybody, that's a really big tip for
What about
friendship? So this is okay. So this is a good one then. This will kind of tie into it. So when it comes to friends, I will always think, is it that I actually don't want to fucking see them? Or is it just that I'm a bit tired and lazy, but I know that when I see them, I'll actually get a pep in my step? Usually it's the latter. Usually it's, I'm a little bit lazy, I'm feeling tired, but I know I'll get a pep in my step. So then the last thing I want to say to everyone that I always focus on is what is the pleasure that I will get out of the thing? So it's like our brains focus on the pain of like driving to lunch or having to get ready or like the effort required to go see your friend. But then when you're there sitting with your friend, you're having the best fucking time. So I always think for my brain, what is the pleasure that I will get from doing that thing, being in that environment? Not thinking about the pain that it will cause me to have to get ready and get myself out of bed and X, Y, and Z. And that is like across the board with procrastination. If you procrastinate, you are focusing on the effort required to do the task, not the pleasure that you get from doing the task. So like I don't procrastinate anymore because I just think how fucking good it's going to feel to like tick that thing off the list, see that friend, have caught up with that person, get that errand done, and you feel so much lighter afterwards versus avoiding. It doesn't make you feel lighter because the fucking task is still on your to-do list.
Okay, I love that. So in business, prioritize, and in friendships, I guess it's also prioritized because for me, I feel like we said at the beginning, yes, baby, literally 1 second, my like default is just retreat. So I want to lie on the sofa, I want to have a pizza, I want to watch Netflix, like numb, chill. But we know from human psychology, trauma, all the work we've done that connection is truly the answer to better mental health. So I now, like you said, I'm like, I have a very small group of friends. I will not hang out with anyone that are not in like my 5 to 10 people. Like if you're outside of that, no, no dog walks, nothing, like no. And inside of that circle, it's like, I am going to see you whether or not, like even if unless it's like I'm having a real mental breakdown, like I am right now because my dog is literally barking at me. So I'm literally just going to go. Yeah. But I love you, everyone. This is so perfect. How stressed I am right now. Okay, baby, we're going to go.
Oh my God, let's all praise for Louise. On the next episode, she'll be not feeling as stressed and there'll be a dog walker, a house cleaner that's happening in her backyard, her background, and everything's going to be like smooth sailing and organized.
I'm going to let you know if she poos or if this is just like a tantrum, but I think she's like got a bad stomach, but I'm sorry for how hectic this is, but at least we're sharing a bit of reality with you guys. Like, this is literally the truth.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, have an amazing day. I love you, babe. I will talk to you later, and I really hope she does a great
Most
shit.
hectic podcast of all time. Love you. Bye.
Well, ladies, I hope that you enjoyed that little episode talking about productivity overwhelm, and you definitely got to see it on Louise's end. So let's all pray for her, and that she gets some things put in place to help her not feel so stressed and overwhelmed. And on that note, I feel like this was a perfect episode for anyone that has found this really, really relatable and you run your own business. You 1000% need to join the Feminine CEO. I love being busy and I love having a full life and I love all the things that I do, and I can do it all because I have the systems, the processes, the people, the team, the knowledge, the I've done the energetic work, I've done the trauma healing, I've done all those things. Because I have all of this in place, I'm actually able to do it all. So with the Feminine CEO, it is open right now for enrollment, and I have been running it for 4 years. It was previously called BABA. For anyone that was wanting to join or has been wanting to join BABA, it is that, but just with a new name. And it has got a huge portal full of like 60 something videos from everything from like confidence. Oh my God, Louise texted me. She had diarrhea. I knew it. That was hectic. I'm so sorry. It's all good. Louise, we forgive you. Everything from showing up confidently in your business all the way to PR, to hiring, to firing, to $1 million energy, everything. So everything that you need to run a very successful business in your feminine is in the Feminine CEO. And of course, I am doing trauma healing in there with you as well. So it's not just like a business course where you don't fucking embody anything and it's just more shit that you learn and don't know how to actually implement. This program is why it's really good, is because I'm not only giving you everything that you need to know to be able to grow your business in the way that I did very successfully and very quickly. It has also got the encompassing, really important component of healing all the things that are holding you back from showing up authentically, from speaking your truth, from drawing boundaries, from feeling confident in your business, X, Y, and Z. So it runs for 3 months and you get a one-on-one included. All the details are on the website page, so you guys can make sure that you check that below. There are lots of exciting offers coming and new masterclasses coming that are of lower cost as well in September. So if you are not already on my email list, please make sure that you are on my email list. The link to join the email list is below. And we don't spam you or anything, but you know, people like things get lost on Instagram and X, Y, and Z. So it's really important that you're on there so that it's just another way to make sure that you don't miss any exciting offerings, because I do have a really great masterclass coming up soon, ladies and gentlemen, that is about being the female feminine breadwinner. So I know a lot of you guys are going to want to come to this. And then I think I also have another offering coming up, but I don't want to say it yet in case I don't actually follow through with it. I've been asked to like be a part of something, and that is a very good deal for you guys as well. So just make sure on their email list, make sure you're following me on Instagram, and I'd also make sure you're following me on the unedited Instagram, unedited magazine _, and then also the Feminine Spark Instagram. It's all below, so that if you don't see it on one, you'll hopefully see it on the other too.